Hi everybody, Justin Feldman, Feldman Physical Therapy and Performance. And this week I'm here, we're going to have a little bit of a different video. We're going to have more of a conversational style video, so no exercises or anything crazy this week, no big challenges, but we're going to spend some time this week talking about insurance. So insurance can be a complicated topic. It's also a pretty popular topic right now. You're going to see it on whatever the news, talk shows. I'm sure friends were talking about it all over the place. And the reason that I wanted to talk about it was John and I recently sent out a survey to all of our patients, and we were asking what things they thought we were doing well, what things that they thought we could do better about. And it was just a way for us to get to know everybody a little bit better and see what sort of information we can get and how we can improve things. And it was interesting because we got a lot of great feedback from everybody, and a lot of the positive feedback. A lot of people really love our different treatment approach, our different treatment style, the idea that we're with everybody for an entire hour, one-on-one. People really appreciate the idea of being able to come in less frequently, and so they don't need to be coming in so often, 2-3 times a week, like some clinics kind of are arranged to make you do. And they really enjoy the amount of manual therapy that we're able to do during each visit. And then there's all sorts of other things that people wrote that they wanted to see us do differently. A lot of people really wanted to see me bring my dog to work. But unfortunately, that wouldn't work because all that undivided one-on-one attention would end up going to her. Because when she's around, my attention is not allowed to be divided. But one thing that people mentioned was they would really like to see us start to bill insurance or accept insurance. And when I sort of made the decision to found, Feldman PT, I had the idea that I had a way I wanted to do things, and I was not going to compromise in any way from doing that. And not taking insurance sort of became a product of that. And as I was reading through this, I sort of realized that it's very possible people don't have a great understanding of how insurance works or the way that things go. And so I wanted to do a little video describing some of the different ways insurance works so that everybody can understand why we've made the purposeful decision not to accept or work with any insurance companies. So I think a lot of people sometimes think they do that, we do it either because it's easier for us, or we just do it because we want to make more money or makes less work, all these things. But really we do it because that is what allows us to offer the quality of care, the type of care, and the standard of care that we have. And the two things are very closely related. So the way I explain insurance sometimes is if you think about going out for dinner. So that makes way more sense to people. It's something people do on a regular basis. They understand it a little bit better. So you and your family, you go out for dinner, and let's just say the bill comes to $200, and you put your American Express card down, you give it to the server, and come back, you sign it, you're done, you leave, and that's the end of it. Well, let's just say that the insurance type payment model applied to dining out or restaurants. So you go out to dinner and you order off the menu. Now, most times we put the insurance model, there's no prices on the menu. You have any idea what anything costs. And you just pick something off the menu. The whole thing is done. Your family's done. You enjoyed. You had a great time. You put your American Express card into the thing. Server brings it back, runs it through the machine, comes back, hands it to you, and says, okay, because of the type of American Express card you have, then let's just say you have a gold card, right? So you have to pay for $20 of this meal, so you owe me, $20. So then you have to pay them $20, right? So it doesn't come off the American Express card in that situation, but let's just say you gave them $20 in cash and you leave. Now, the bill was $200, you gave them $20, there's $180 left to be paid, and in about 20 days, sometimes even longer, the restaurant would hear from the insurance company or the credit card company, in this case American Express, and instead of a check for $180, which is what you would expect they would get, instead they get a check or for maybe $100 with a little notice explaining that this is what the insurance company has decided these services are worth, and so this is what they're going to pay for that. And as the restaurant, that's it. You have to accept that. There's nothing else you can do. You're not allowed to go back after the customer or the person that ate for any more money. That's just it. Everything's done. Now, that we can all sort of say like, well, that wouldn't work because the restaurant's going to set their prices based on what the food costs them and their help and all these things. And now they're not actually getting that back. And how's this going to work? Well, what the restaurant would need to start doing is they would need to start adding more tables, being able to feed more people at the same time so that each server could work a little harder for the amount that they were making so that the restaurant could make back that difference that they're not getting. And the same thing sort of happens in healthcare with insurance. As a provider, you need to start seeing more patients, more people in order to do that. So the way that we work is each person comes in, we work with them, we've determined what we feel our time is worth based on what we're doing and how much time everything takes us to get done and what costs our business has, whether it's rent, whether it's our own insurance, whether it's our liability insurances and our internet or other things that we need to do, and we set a rate that we think is fair based on that. Now, let's just say that we made the decision to bill insurance and take insurance and kind of walk through how things might be a little bit different. So the first thing that would happen is we'd have to sign a contract with the insurance company. So as much as we would determine what we feel our time is worth, the insurance company is going to say, yeah, but this is what we're willing to pay for it. So we decide our time is worth $120, and the insurance company is going to say, well, we'll pay you $75, say $80, and that's the end of it. Well, let's say as the patient you have a copay, and your copay maybe is $40. So we're going to get $80, but your insurance company says you have a $40 copay. So of that $80, you're responsible for $40. I think a lot of times people think that their copay is on top of what the insurance companies pay. A lot of times it comes out of it. So if the insurance company says we will agree to pay $80 for PT, then $40 comes out, so the insurance company is only going to pay $40. Now, in order to get that $40, we need to bill your insurance company. So in order to bill your insurance company, we would probably need to employ a billing person. Or we could choose to use a billing agency. However, then we have to give that billing agency a cut of every bill they send out because that's how they make money. So if we didn't want to lose a cut of each bill, we might employ a billing person. But now, in order to employ that billing person, we have to pay them. And we have to pay for their health insurance. We have to pay for their benefits and other things. And so as we employ that person, we need to now bill even more in order to justify their employment. The only way to bill more is to see more people because we're not able to raise our rates because the insurance companies have set those rates ahead of time. So now, instead of seeing one person an hour, let's just say we have to go to 2 people an hour. Well, now we're seeing 2 people an hour, but it's really hard to see 2 people at the same time and pay good attention to each one. So maybe what we're going to do in that case is we're going to employ an aide or somebody to help us, an assistant in the clinic, work with those patients. So we do that, but we have to pay them now. And so in order to cover their salary, we might need to start seeing a couple more people an hour because that other person that we added on, they're covering the billing person's salary. So now what happens is we need to see 4 people an hour, and that means we're only going to be able to spend 10 to 15 minutes with each person. But it also means that where right now, for every hour of work that we do, we only have 1 patient's worth of paperwork to handle. Well, now we're going to have 4 patients worth of paperwork to handle. So that's going to increase the workload on us. And one thing it might mean is we have to block a couple hours out during the day where we can't see patients, but all we're going to do is do paperwork. Well, if we do that, then during those treatment times, we might need to see a couple more patients because we still have to get the same total number of visits in a day in order to keep the lights on and doors open and heat and all that stuff. So then what happens is now we're seeing 5 patients an hour. And now we have 5 patients worth of paperwork to do for every hour that we do. And so you can see how this sort of thing snowballs. The other thing that happens is when you start to agree to these contracts with the insurance companies is that the insurance companies might also say, well, now what we want you to do is every 3 visits, we want you to fill out this paperwork. And that paperwork is to justify whether or not these people need to continue on with their therapy, whether or not this insurance company, who's probably never met you in person, never seen you, has really little idea what's going on with you, they're going to determine whether or not you're actually allowed to go for physical therapy. And so that starts to become a whole nother ballgame, as we then need to get that paperwork done and get that in and get that submitted. And because we've agreed to the insurance company's contract, if they come back to us and say, we don't think they need therapy anymore, I think they could do all this on their own at home, or you know what, they have no pain anymore, and I know they maybe can't get back to running, but we don't really need them to get back to running, we just need them to not have pain anymore, this is the insurance company talking, then you know they're all done, they can't come. And because we've agreed to that contract, we have to be done seeing them at that time. And so that sort of leads us into the last little bit, is that your insurance company is going to cover you to get what I would like to determine 85 to 90% better. They want you to have no pain. They want you to have full range of motion. And they want you to be able to do things that you, according to them, need to do every day. And that's really about all they'll cover. So they want you to be able to cook food, eat. They want you to be able to walk. They want you to be able to go up and down stairs and, you know, things like that. But let's just say your goal is to run. Let's say your goal is to do a triathlon. Let's say you want to get back to soccer, you want to get back to football or lacrosse or hockey or any of these things. Well, the insurance company says that's on you. That's on your own. You do that on your own time. But we're not going to pay for you to get back to that. We only want you to get back to what they call functional activities. And the problem is, if we go and agree to these insurance contracts, when they come to us and say, you know what, they're done, they're fine, like they can go up and down stairs on their own, and I'm sure they'd love to run a marathon, but you know, not on our dime is basically what they're saying. And so they cut you off and then we have to be done. So we've made a conscious decision that we don't want to work within those rules. You're in our clinic, we see you, we work with you, we know what you have going on, and we want to base all of our decisions on that. And so that is why we've set everything up the way we have. I don't want my attention to be divided between 3 or 4 patients. I want to be able to be the one watching you do your exercises. I don't want an aide or have to have somebody else watch you and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later look over and say, oh man, you've been doing that wrong the whole time, and so that's why you're not getting better and doing what you need to do. No, I'm sitting there watching you do these exercises, and I could look at them and say, you know what? That doesn't look exactly the way I want, and so we're going to change it, or we're going to give you a different exercise. We're going to change things around a little bit. And so that's why we've made the decision to operate the way we do. I would love for the ability to bill insurance and still operate the way we do and still be able to say this is what our time is valued at, and this is what, you know, and if the insurance company says we're willing to pay that, and you know, we're not going to give you a hard time about it, and we know you're the clinician and you're seeing the person, and we're going to trust your judgment on what they need. You know, I would love for a day when we could operate that way, and we can do it. I don't see it happening anytime soon, based on the current climate and what's going on. I think that there's too much of this idea of the insurance companies need to make their profit, and the only way they could do that is by not paying out money that you pay them. And so if the money that they pay out is too much, it cuts into their profit and what they need to make. And so this is the system that they've devised, and this is how we've decided to operate on the outside of that system, because we really only want to have to factor in what the best thing for you is. And I appreciate everyone filling out their survey and really helping us out. Hope this helps clarify things for people. I'm sorry it's so long. I'm looking at the clock as I'm talking and realizing that it's getting on to about 15 minutes. And so that means I have to get going to my next patient. Any questions, comments, things people want to talk about, other things they want answered, please feel free, leave a comment below or shoot us an email, reach out to us. We'd love to help you out.